Hello and thank you for joining us on CoreTV News at 7. I am Ebunlomo Adekunle. Incumbent governor and the All Progressives Congress candidate Rochas Okorocha, having met the demand of the electoral law and score the highest number of votes, has been declared the winner of the Imo State 2015 gubernatorial elections and therefore returned to office. Okorocha polled a total of 416,996 votes to defeat People's Democratic Party's candidate Emeka Ihedioha, who polled total votes of 320,705 votes. Party agents and supporters went into singing praises to God as the declaration was made by the returning officer Ibidakpo Obe at the Imo INEC headquarters, Owerri.
Voters, if Anayo Okorocha of APC haven't satisfied the requirements of the law and scored the highest number of votes, is hereby declared the winner and will return elected. Signed, Ibidakpo Obe, 26 April 2015. Thank you very much.
Senator Hope Uzodimma, representing Imo West, and his sister were arrested for alleged electoral malpractices at Omua, Oru East local government area of Imo State by a combined team of policemen and soldiers. The senator, who was later released on self-recognition, allegedly mobilized hoodlums who set bonfires on the roads to prevent the security men from taking away the suspects. It took a reinforcement of soldiers and men of the Department of State Security Service to rescue the policemen and take the suspects to the police headquarters in Owerri, where they were detained. Also, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Job Doma, arrested 25 officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Imo State for alleged thumbprinting of ballot papers during the election rerun exercise on Saturday. Also arrested were fake INEC officials who posed as returning officers at the Collation Center. One contacted the police public relations officer, Andrew Nwirim, said he had yet to be briefed on the incident. Dr. Okoezie Ikpeazu of the People's Democratic Party in the Abia governorship rerun has also been declared winner in the Saturday's make-up election in Abia State. The PDP candidate, who had earlier polled 248,459 votes ahead of his All Progressives Grand Alliance counterpart, Dr. Alex Oti, who scored 165,406 votes out of the 439,454 total votes cast during the April 11th polls, eventually returned elected after the Saturday supplementary election. The rerun was held in 299 polling units across 9 local government areas in the state. Darius Ishaku of the People's Democratic Party has won the Taraba supplementary governorship election held on Saturday. The returning officer, Kiari Muhammad, who announced the result on Sunday in Jalingo, said Ishaku scored 369,318 votes to emerge victorious. It said Senator Aisha Alasan of the All Progressives Congress came second with 275,984 votes, while Chief David Kente of the Social Democratic Party polled 29,966. The returning officer said there were 1,461,645 total registered voters in the state, of which 787,516 were accredited for the election. Mohammed said that the total valid votes cast were 681,166, while the total votes rejected was 174,131. It was recalled that the April 11th governorship election was declared inconclusive by the Independent National Electoral Commission due to widespread irregularities. INEC on April 25th conducted supplementary elections in 218 polling units in 10 council areas of the state. The All Progressives Congress governorship candidate in the just concluded governorship election in Taraba State, Aisha Al-Hassan, has rejected the results of the poll as announced by INEC. Addressing a press conference in Jalingo shortly after the announcement of the results, daylight robbery, that's what as she described it, the party would challenge the results in the Election Petitions Tribunal. She contended that results ascribed to Kari, Dunga, Takum, Sadauna, Zing, Yoro, Kurmi, and some parts of Usa, Karim Lamido, Bali, Ardo Kola, and Lao local government areas were not acceptable as they did not reflect the true results of the election in Taraba. Al-Hassan said all the complaints on the irregularities and abuse of the election guidelines were promptly reported to INEC, but no action was taken. INEC returning officer for Taraba, Kiari Muhammad, who declared the results on Sunday in Jalingo, said Ishaku scored 369,318 votes to emerge victorious. The supplementary poll held in the 22 polling units of Ileje-Meje constituency in Ekiti State was greeted with low voter turnout. The election was declared inconclusive due to violence that erupted on the 11th of April. Also saw a heavy presence of security forces, something most people say is responsible for the voter apathy witnessed in the supplementary poll. Rashid has more in this report.
The supplementary poll is being held at 22 polling units cutting across Iye-Ekiti, Iludun, Ewu and Edaunio, part of the towns making up Ileje-Meje constituency. Being a rerun in few polling units, all attention was shifted to the area in terms of mobilization and security. With these arrangements, however, low turnout of voters were recorded in polling units visited at the time of accreditation and voting. The unruly activities of some security agents, particularly Department of State Securities, did not help matters.
You want to fight the media? You want to fight with security? I feel it. Let them come and arrest us. We're here. We're here. If you don't want camera, don't wear the SS shirt. You know what's in there. Me, we carry mine. We carry camera. We know what's in there. To bastardize this whole process. Very simple.
The All Progressives Congress were quick to attribute low turnout to the intimidation by security agents, but the PDP is handy to exonerate the security forces of any wrongdoing.
There have been a lot of shootings overnight all through, and this has created a lot of panic and fear in the minds of the people.
Why they shooting bats? When you hear gun in the night, someone must be hunting in the bush. Do you see blood in the town? Don't leave that alone, my brother.
Even as voting and counting done, candidates expressed their reactions to the whole process.
The people's will should be allowed to prevail. What happened 2 weeks ago is least expected, when PDP agents and thugs were kidnapping ballot boxes. We don't want all these things again. Let the people decide whom they want.
Because of the issue of the thuggery, which, our opponent promoted during the last election, but today the security help us. A lot of people are coming now, even though it's low, but we want the quality rather than the quantity.
With the last constituency in Ekiti House of Assembly election concluded, attention will now shift to other burning political matters, especially the impeachment fever which has gripped Ekiti State for some time now.
You want to fight with security?
Rashid, CoreTV News.
One person was found dead on Saturday as youths of the People's Democratic Party and the All Progressives Congress clashed at Anyigba Okura constituency of the Kina local government area of Kogi State. The clash occurred during the supplementary election in some wards and polling units across 6 local government areas of Kogi State. One person, Ibrahim Oyibo, 26, was said to have died, while several others sustained varying degrees of gunshot wounds during the confrontation. The candidate of the PDP in Anyigba Okura constituency, Al-Hassan Ogu, said Oyibo was his cousin. According to Ogu, the young man was with him in the house when gunmen on motorcycles numbering about 10 stormed his residence. He alleged that they shot sporadically at his residence for a long time and later shot Oyibo dead on the spot. He added that riot policemen on patrol later dislodged the assailant, but John Makolo, the media officer to the APC candidate Abdullahi Bewa, said he was unaware of the attack. He challenged Ogu to identify the attackers, saying if the attack occurred, Ogu should be able to name Oyibo's killers. The Kogi State's Police Public Relations Officer, Shola Adebayo, however, confirmed the incident. It's the CoreTV News at 7. We'll take a break and return with more reports. Don't go away.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digi360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Many thanks for being there with us, and for more on CoreTV News, you can visit our social media platforms. On Facebook, facebook.com/CoreTV News. Our Twitter handle at CoreTV News NG. On YouTube, youtube.com/CoreTV with a space, then news. Nigeria's recorded High Commissioner to South Africa, Martin Kobam, and his deputy, Uche Okeke, in protest against continued xenophobic attacks in the country. Foreign Affairs Minister Aminu Wali said in a statement that the envoy were summoned for consultation on the violence. He added that the invitation was meant to get more facts on the situation on ground. South Africa has expressed surprise that Nigeria's recorded High Commissioner and his deputy over the recent spate of attacks on foreign nationals in the country. Its Department of International Relations said in a statement that Nigeria is the only country that took the step of recalling its ambassador in the wake of xenophobic attacks in the former apartheid enclave. South Africa accused Nigeria of exploiting what it described as a painful episode to push its own agenda. The government said it remains committed to a strong bond with the country, but would raise its concern with the incoming administration next month. The recent attacks on foreigners in South Africa has continued to generate reactions from everyone, and apart from condemning the act, former boss of the ICPC, Justice Mustafa Akombi, has accused the South African government of negligence as it calls for compensation for the victims involved. Rashid has more from Ilorin.
The news of the attack on foreigners in South Africa has since been condemned everywhere, with different opinions from government and organizations across the world. For the former boss of an anti-graft agency in Nigeria, ICPC, Mustafa Akombi, the act is not only despicable, but also shocking to know that South Africa can turn around to attack countries which helped her through the apartheid period.
But for a country that had suffered under colonial rule, it's not the right thing to start overnight and ask people to quit and leave, because they also have interests in other countries. For instance, I understand the DSTV here in Nigeria is controlled by South Africa, and if we have to react in the way they did, things will be very bad.
In the face of looting and loss of lives, Akombi calls for compensations from the government of South Africa to the victims affected by the xenophobic attack.
They are able to pay compensation for people who have lost their property. Unfortunately, if a man is killed, you can't revive him, you can't bring him back to life. But I think those who are involved in these activities must be dealt with seriously by the government of South Africa.
While the victims now count their losses after losing much of what they have labored for, labor leaders in Nigeria have urged the labor unions in South Africa to help stop the attack.
There's a global condemnation of this particular situation. So I believe that NSC, as they are reaching out to their colleagues, even in South Africa, because these are workers' organizations to themselves, and they need to protect the workers there.
We are enjoined with the rest of Nigerians to say that such an attack is not good on Africans. We are all part of those who fought for the apartheid. We are all those who fought for the independence. And I mean, by the time they start chasing Nigerians away and we Nigerians here start chasing South Africans in Nigeria away, it's not gonna be the best.
With government and organizations taking active steps, it is hoped that the experience of foreigners in 2008 and what is happening now will be the last to be heard of in South Africa. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ilorin.
The 36th Kaduna International Trade Fair opened at the weekend amidst low turnout. The fair, which has the theme promoting domestic production for national sustainable economic development, was declared open by Kaduna government representatives. Amina Nebi has more in this report presented from our studio.
The trade fair is the brainchild of the Kaduna State Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, KATSIMA. But unlike previous editions, the turnout at this year's fair is quite low. This did not deter the organizers.
The theme for the 36th edition is promoting domestic production for national sustainable economic development.
The Kaduna State government is hopeful that the fair would open up the local economy to more opportunities.
We are happy to once again play host to investors, entrepreneurs, corporate organizations, as well as captains of industries from all over the world. You are welcome to our peaceful city, and I want to assure you that Kaduna is ready for business.
The federal government officials and members of the Nigerian business community were also on hand to offer words of encouragement to participants.
This enables the government to partner with the private sector in formulating the implementation policy and program geared to developing critical trade support infrastructure.
Your Excellency, as you declare open the 2015 Kaduna International Trade Fair today, our prayer remains that this year's fair provides a desired platform to showcase to the international community the existence of abundant human and natural resources in Nigeria.
The trade fair venue looks deserted on the opening day, unlike previous editions, but the organizers are hopeful that more participants would sign on in the coming days.
The city of Abeokuta is one of the major towns in Nigeria, and one of its most distinguished features, which attracts tourists from far and near, is its distinct touch of adire making. In the special report, Olajumoke Olatiji takes us into the world of adire making in the ancient city of Abeokuta. I report.
The ancient city of Abeokuta is one of the many towns in Nigeria. Aside from being the Ogun State capital, it is also the seat of the Ogun State government. Aside from being the choice of destination for many tourists and lovers of African fabric, popularly known as adire, which has gained its recognition as an African phenomenon and also an integral part of the Igbo culture. Join me as I take you into the world of adire making here in Itokun, Abeokuta. The Kenta Adire Kampala market, Itoko, is probably the largest tie and dye market in West Africa. The market, which is just a stone throw from the Luma Rock, is one place where local artisans and traders mingle with customers to find a bargain. What greets anyone on arrival at Itoko are sights of neatly arranged adire fabrics with captivating designs ready for purchase. The combined smell of the various chemicals employed in the manufacture of those African designs can also not be ignored, but one does not get to see where the smell is coming from, as the main production process goes on behind the rows of shops, which has on display assorted adire fabrics, which include tie and dye, eleko, batik, and oniko. To catch a glimpse of the production process is like the proverbial camel passing through the eye of the needle, as marketers are reluctant to show anyone what they refer to as trade secrets. However, with persistence, the reporter was able to gain access to the production arena, where you are confronted with labor force comprising both men and women of all ages. Despite the decades of the existence of this African phenomenon, the process of making adire has witnessed little or no change.
Oríṣiríṣi ẹ̀ ni wọ́n máa ń ṣe. Ìta bá kọ́kọ́ ti fẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ báyìí, wọ́n máa kọ́kọ́ bójú ní sáàndà yìí, wọ́n máa dì. Wọ́n lè ti dì tán. a máa wá kó sínú àrò irú oríṣi kọ́lọ̀ tá a bá fẹ́ gbé ni a ti mọ kọ́lọ̀ yìí tó ń bá kọ́lọ̀ kan mu ti yàtọ̀ sí tí ò bá mu èyí tó bá pọ́pù mu tó bá green mu a ti mọ̀ agàndé máa kó wọn sínú àrò náà máa dárò yẹn máa ṣe àwọn chemicals yẹn a máa dá àwọn pọ̀ mọ́ra wọn.
èyí tẹ̀ ń ṣe yìí sí.
èyí tí wọ́n ń ṣe yìí àti rẹ́ tán pátápátá mo wá fẹ́ fi starch sí bíi pé kíyàn fẹ́ lọ aṣọ ẹ̀wọ̀n tí wọ́n bá fẹ́ lọ aṣọ máa ń fi starch díẹ̀ sí aṣọ yẹn ó lè rí bí dán òun ni nǹkan tí olóòtú ṣe lọ́wọ́ yìí àti parí ẹ̀ báyìí kákàndé fi starch yìí sí ká wá sa síta ká wá sa tán á ṣe wá lù.
After the production process, the next stage was with the woolen, used to iron out the already made Adire fabric. For sales and distribution, Howlett Creative is a drum-making business, especially here in Etopo.
Now a bit slow because of the Boko Haram situation, the security situation in Nigeria, and the exchange rate. The exchange rate has really affected us. Things have gone up. The clothes has gone up. Dye, the prices are up. The sulfites, all the chemicals that we use, they've gone up from 1,006 now. Before we used to have 1,400, 1,500, 1,300, but now it's from 1,600. Let's say 300, 350, 400. Yeah. If there is sales or.
For many residents of Etoko here in Abeokuta, the art of Adire making is one that is here to stay and will be passed to unborn generations. Olajumoke Olatunji, CoreTV News, Abeokuta.
We'll take another break and return with a story from outside Nigeria. Don't go away.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Relief efforts in Nepal are intensifying after more than 2,300 people were killed in the worst earthquake worst earthquake ever, and it says that has been in more than 80 years. Rescue missions and aid materials have started arriving in the country. 17 people have been killed on Mount Everest by avalanches, the mountain's worst ever disaster. Meanwhile, a powerful aftershock was felt on Sunday in Nepal, India and Bangladesh, and more avalanches were reported near Everest. As military helicopters hovered over Kathmandu and ferried relief supplies to victims of the earthquake in western Nepal, search and rescue efforts were going on in at least 5 locations in Kathmandu. As the search and road clearing efforts got underway at noon, a major aftershock sent people into panic again. At a nearby open space, people were camped out, fearing further tremors. They were short of food and water, clearly hoping and praying that the aftershocks would stop and things would be normal soon. The death toll from the regional earthquake on Saturday could rise as the situation is unclear in remote areas which remain cut off or hard to access. Scores of bodies have been ferried to hospitals in Kathmandu, many of which are struggling to cope with the number of the injured. More than 700 have died in the capital alone. And that's it on CoreTV News at 7. Join us again at 9:45 for the primetime news. Thank you for watching. I am Ebulomo Adekunle.